One of the words that destroys everything is called neglect. Neglect, and I found this out. A week of neglect could cost you a year of repair. Here's the list of attitude diseases. Number one is indifference, the shrug of the shoulder, the guy's not even concerned. He's just drifting. Well, to be any kind of winner, you've got to get worked up. There's one problem with drift. You cannot drift to the top of the mountain. A life full of adventure is a life full of many decisions. The ones that turn out to be wrong give you better experience to make better decisions. So don't see how many decisions you can get out of. See how many decisions you can get out of. See how many you can get into. That's where the adventure is. So shake off this disease, indecision. The next one is doubt, and one of the worst is self-doubt. The guy doubts himself, doubts if it'll last that long for him, doubts if he can do that well, doubts if he can bake that much, doubts if he can make that much, doubts if he can accomplish all that. So here's the key. Turn this coin over and become a believer. And there are many things to believe in. One of the majors is yourself. Now, for those three, don't get you. This one will. Worry. That's a devastating disease. Worry causes health problems, social problems, personal problems, family problems. I used to have it bad. I used to be known as a super warrior, not a super warrior, not a super warrior. You know, super warrior, my advice to you is do what I finally did on worry. Give it up. I'm not saying it's easy. It took me almost 1 year to kick the worry habit, and it was not an easy year. I learned how to do it, and you can. Here's the next attitude disease, overcaution. Now, you can also be too reckless, but you can also be too cautious. And my caution was always the risk. Risk used to drive me right up the wall. And I'll tell you what changed my whole life. When I finally discovered it's all risky. The minute you were born, it got risky. The Englishman says, well, if that's the way it's going to work out, let's give it a go. Right, that's what it's for. Give it a go. Somebody says, yeah, but I'm looking for safety and security. Fine, then huddle in a corner. We'll cover you with a sheet, bring you 3 meals a day, and we'll protect you. Feed you, look after you, care for you, care for you, care for you. The guy said, yeah, I'd live to be 100. But what a way to live, right? What a way to live, safe and secure. And see, it's not important how long you live. What's important is how you live. Here's the next attitude disease. We're almost through this monthly list. The poor pessimist leads an ugly life. He doesn't try to figure out what's right. He tries to figure out what's wrong. He doesn't look for virtue. He looks for faults. To the pessimist, the glass is always half empty. To the optimist, the glass is half full. Quiet with the same measure affects people 2 different ways. I answered, it all depends on how you look at it. Our lives are mostly affected by the way we think things are, not the way they are. The way we think they are affects us the most. Kids ask good questions these days. One of them said to me, Mr. Owen, how do you build the good life? I said, it's simple, but it's not easy. Here's how you build anything. Select the right ingredients, keep out the wrong ingredients, and it starts with thought. I asked the kids, what would happen if somebody dropped sugar in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be okay. I said, what if somebody dropped strike 9 in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct, lesson 1. Life is both sugar and strike 9, you've got to be careful. I said, what if my worst enemy drops in the sugar? They said, well, you'd be okay. I said, what if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct, lesson 2. Watch your coffee. You've got to be careful. See, it doesn't matter whose hands you get the bad stuff from. It doesn't matter where you get the bad stuff. It'll still do its damage. On your bank account, wherever you get it. Complaining, crying, griping. Why do some people do so well in life while so many others don't? It's a deadly disease. It's how we feel about life that will decide how life feels about us. If we think we're going to fail, we might not even thrive. We are more likely to succeed in life if we have a positive, I can do it attitude than if we have a negative, I can't attitude. So attitude is the magic word that can change our lives. It's up to us to have a good attitude about life and all the problems it brings. Before we talk about our attitude toward the world, it's important to discuss our attitude toward ourselves. We tend to minimize our own abilities and the goals we can achieve. We also tend to believe that others can accomplish things in our field that we cannot. As a result of this defensive, doubtful attitude toward ourselves, many people live narrow, darkened, and frustrated lives. However, those who stay young all their lives not only welcome change, but see it for what it really is: a new opportunity, a chance for further fulfillment. Attitude is a reflection of a person's will, and it's incalculably powerful. It can bring about marvelous results for us, but we need to train it patiently day by day. Successful people who constitute the top 5% of individuals who go from one success to another. Successful people have a particular kind of attitude towards themselves and life that sets them apart from the rest. They possess a strong belief in their ability to accomplish what they set out to do, and they approach life with a healthy and positive attitude. Successful people possess an attitude towards themselves that is characterized by healthy self-esteem, confidence, and a positive outlook. They also have a healthy attitude towards failure, seeing it as an opportunity to learn and improve rather than a setback. One of the remarkable things about successful people is that they come to be called successful, outstanding, brilliant, lucky, and a host of other accolades, even though they are not necessarily more intelligent or outstanding than the people around them. They're unwavering in their ability to succeed. Healthy self-esteem and a positive outlook set them apart from the rest. They see failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, and obstacles as opportunities to overcome. By developing the right attitude towards themselves and life, anyone can achieve success and live their best life. The importance of attitude cannot be overstated. People who are successful, regardless of their field or background, all have one thing in common: the right attitude. They expect more good out of life than bad, and they expect to succeed more than they fail. This mindset makes them resilient to failures and setbacks. The world we live in is impersonal and does not care whether we change or not. However, adopting a good, healthy attitude towards life can make a huge difference in our lives. By adopting a successful attitude, we can achieve our goals and lead a fulfilling life. It doesn't matter how good your attitude has been in the past. There's always room for improvement. Small refinements upon something already good can make it great. So here's the test. For the next 30 days, act towards the world, everything and everyone with whom you come in contact, with the attitude that represents the kind of results you want to achieve. For instance, if you want to be more successful in what you're doing, act as though you are already in possession of the success you seek. If you want others to treat you with admiration and respect, treat others with admiration and respect first. You may not have realized it, but every person you interact with also believes that they are the most important person in the world. This is true for every human being on earth. So for the next 30 days, try treating every person you come across as if they are the most important person in the world. Treating everyone in this way is important, not only because it is the right way to treat others, but also because it can help you form a habit that will bring you amazing and delightful results for the rest of your life. When you treat others with respect and kindness, you are likely to receive the same treatment in return. This can lead to better relationships, improved communication, and ultimately more happiness and success in your personal and professional life. Success is not just about personal achievement, but also about the relationships and connections they make along the way. When you have a positive attitude, people are naturally drawn to you. So for the next 30 days, make a conscious effort to treat others with the same kindness and respect that you want to be treated with. The key here is to approach each interaction with a positive mindset. Instead of focusing on what you can get out of the interaction, focus on what you can give. Remember, a good attitude is not something you have to be born with. It's something that can be developed through conscious effort and practice. You would recognize that when a person consistently acts with a positive and productive attitude, they have already placed themselves on the path to success. You would know that this kind of attitude places a person in the top 5% of individuals in any country. Similarly, before building a structure, the excavation and foundation must be laid. In order to achieve the kind of life a person wants, they must become the kind of individual they wish to be. They must think, act, talk, walk, and conduct themselves in all their affairs as the person they wish to become. Once a person becomes that individual, the things that person would have and do will naturally come to them almost immediately. Irritations that used to frustrate and annoy will disappear. When someone gives them a hard time, they will stay on track and not let the negative behavior affect them. By acting with a positive attitude, a person separates themselves from this negative group and begins to attract positive experiences and people into their lives. It's a universal truth that every human being has a deep-seated desire to feel valued and important. This need is not restricted to any particular gender or age group, but rather it is a fundamental need that every individual has from the time we are born. We crave attention and affection from those around us, and this need only intensifies as we grow older. On the other hand, when someone treats you with respect and kindness, acknowledges your efforts, and makes you feel important, it feels great, doesn't it? This is a feeling that we all crave and seek in our personal and professional relationships. Can you guess what's the most important quality to predict success and happiness in life? It's optimism. What they found was that successful people had really high levels of optimism. They were really optimistic. They were positive most of the time. Does that mean they didn't have problems? Oh, they had far more problems than the average person because they tried more things. They found that optimists had two great qualities which led to their success. Number one was they tried more things because they had an unrealistic expectation that they would be successful. They just kind of believed they would be successful. Yeah, they believed that if they just kept on, they would be successful. So they tried more things. Now, the second quality they had is they persisted more because they had an unrealistic expectation that if they just persisted more, they'd succeed. What optimists have is what I call orientations. And the first orientation that optimists had is future orientation. They think about where they're going most of the time. They think about the Paddelling most of the time. They think about the possibilities of the future. And they idealize. There are four areas where optimists idealize. Number one is great health. We want to have great health. We want to have great health. We want to feel good about ourselves. We want to have high levels of energy. Number two is that optimists want to have loving relationships. They want to have happy relationships. They want to have happy families. They want to have happy friends. They want to have happy friends. They want to have work with people. They like work for bosses. Well, the third thing that we all want is we all want to do meaningful work, and we don't want to do it poorly. It's so important for us to do our work well, because this is what we found is how much you like yourself. Your level of self-esteem determines your level of optimism. People with high self-esteem set big goals for themselves. The starting point of achieving or dreaming great dreams is to have a fantasy or an imaginary idea of your life as if it were perfect sometime in the future. If your life was perfect in 5 years, what would it look like? What would it look like? Well, here's my favorite word in success. My favorite word in success is the word clarity. What I say is, you can't hit a target that you can't see. So your job is to be absolutely clear. If you had the power to achieve anything, if you could wave a magic wand over your life and have 3 wishes, what 3 wishes would you want? Health, happiness, money, financial independence. If you could dream it, you can do it. If you can write it down, if you can write it down, if you can imagine it and write it down. Then the only question you ask is, you say, how do we do it now? Who else has got what I want and who else at one time didn't have it? And now they have it. And what you do is you go and find out how they got there. You read their books, you ask them questions, you listen to their programs, and then you discipline yourself to do the same things they did until you get the same result. Number 4 is financial independence. Now, we all judge ourselves in life by how well we're doing on each of these 4. And we could be doing well in 3, but if we're low in 4, that's what bothers us. Now, the second orientation that successful people have is goal orientation. Goal orientation means that they have very clear written goals that they work on every single day. Take a piece of paper like this, write the word goals at the top, and write down at least 10 goals you want to accomplish in the next 12 months. Now, here's the important point. Writing down these goals takes 2 to 3 minutes. In fact, it's actually about 3 if you write down 10 things that you want to accomplish in the next 12 months. Now, all you have to do then is take this piece of paper, fold it up, put it away somewhere where you won't see it for a whole year. You'll be happy because not 8 of your 10 goals will have been accomplished in the most amazing ways, and you'll be sad because you will wish you had written more goals and bigger goals. People come to me and they say, my whole life has changed in the last 30 days. All kinds of things have happened. They've changed jobs, they've changed relationships, they've gotten a new house, they bought a car, they've taken a trip, and these are all things they wrote down. If all you'll do from this day is write down 10 goals, and instead of putting them away for a year, just review them on a regular basis, writing a goal down actually programs it into your subconscious mind. So even if your conscious mind doesn't even remember the list, your subconscious mind's got it. I've spoken all over the world and given this exercise. I've never had anybody say it didn't work. The only things they say was incredible. The results in their lives were explosive. They could not believe it. Now, the third orientation is excellence orientation. In order to achieve something you have never achieved before, you have to be good at something you've never been good at before. You have to develop skills you've never had before. I learned that everybody in the top 10% started where in the bottom 10%. Everybody's at the top and doing well was once at the bottom and doing poorly. Everyone who is now at the front of the buffet line of life was once at the back of the line. Every expert in their field was once not in your field at all. And anything that anyone else has done, you can do as well. The only one who can stop you is you by stopping. So therefore, you find that people who have no advantages at all, but have one thing, they just don't stop. They get to the top 10%, and you can be in the top 10%. This is what I learned, which changed my life when I was 24 years old. If you make a decision to get into the top 10% and you don't take it back, you will get there. There's nothing to stop you. The only reason people don't get into the top 10% is that they don't decide to. And if they decide to, they don't get started. And if they get started, they quit. So it's very important. But optimists say, hey, I can be in the top 10%. I can be. And they just never quit. If they just never quit. No, you're sure lucky. No, you won't. You make your own luck. You make your own luck by deciding where you're going and getting on the road. The only way we're going to get to the top 10% is by becoming very good at what we do. There are no shortcuts. We just have to get down and work it out. Just make any decision, be absolutely clear, and then you set your future, your ideal, set the goal to achieve the ideal, determine the skill that you'll need. Now, here's the fourth orientation, and this is really important. It's called growth orientation. Growth orientation is the key to the future, and the key to the future and the key to your success as well. I say there are 3 things. Number 1 is read on a regular basis. Reading is to the mind as exercise is to the body. If you don't read, it's like if you don't exercise your muscles, what happens to them? So the rule is to read 30 to 60 minutes a day, 5 days a week. If you do that, you'll read about a book a week. That'll translate into about 50 books a year. 50 books a year will make you one of the smartest and highest paid people in your field. You'll go past everybody else in the business. So read on a regular basis. Now, the second is to attend all the seminars that you can. Always trade money for time or life. And if it costs you a little bit to go to a seminar, pay the money because you'll get it back 10, 20, 50, 100 times. They're saying, I don't think that this is a good person to invest in. This company has no future. This person has no future. The interesting thing is that the more you invest in yourself, the more you believe in yourself, the more you like yourself, the more you like yourself, the more determined you become, the more confident you become, and the better you get.